Light of Christ. And then we've got
Postulant Brian.
amazing. And we are joined by the illustrious Jen Lanier.
Thank you so much, sister. And Postulant, so delighted to be here, to be with you all today.
Oh, it is our pleasure. So, Jennifer, we wanted to talk to you. Well, first, we want to get to know you. I
Sure.
see that you're a classically trained actress who's really turned to comedy to keep you from going out of your mind. So how have you sustained sanity over the past year?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, that's the whole deal, is like the whole business of classical training, of course, is to make sure that everything is crisp and tight and clear and all that. And when you bring comedy into it, especially when you bring improvisational comedy into things, that's the piece of it that kind of loosens everybody up and allows you to go with whatever's happening, right? To move with how you're being pushed and moved. And honestly, that is exactly what's been saving me through this year, you know, of shelter in place and quarantine, is being able to roll with what's happening. You know, I've learned not to have very rigid anything happening in my world. To just being, I mean, my family is wonderful about this too, because I have a wife, a very fabulous wife, Justina, and my two sons, Darius and D'Artagnan, who are living with us here and have been, you know, for this thing. And all of us are all about, okay, let's just roll with this thing and see what the next day brings, you know. Yeah, and laughing. Actually, laughing is a specific part of our weeks. Yeah, we have family meetings every week to try to keep ourselves together. And part of the family meeting, each time a different person is in charge of bringing something funny into the, so that everybody can laugh, you know? So yeah, laughter is, laughter and comedy, it's true. It's the only thing that has saved my life in all of this mess.
Oh my gosh.
That's fantastic.
No, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question too. You were born at a military base in Washington State. You grew up in North Carolina, moved to Hawaii as a young adult, and landed in the Pacific Northwest. Is that true?
It's all true. It really has, I mean, because apparently my life is like a very, very good game of pool, that I just keep bouncing from corner to corner to corner to corner, you know, that's the way I've been going. Yeah, I did grow up. I was in fact born in Fort Lewis, which is now part of Joint Base Lewis McChord up here in Washington. And after about 6 months there, my parents moved down to North Carolina, which where my father was, his last station was down in North Carolina. And both my parents were born there, all the families from there, you know. So that was going back home for them. And once I guess became an adult, probably, oh gosh, I think sometime in the late 90s was when Hawaii was starting to look like a very interesting place to be. And so the woman that I was partnered with at the time, we decided we would move there with some other people. And that was a gorgeous 7 years. We lived on the Big Island in Hawaii. It was fantastic. Oh. And then I ended up coming to Portland because someone wanted me to produce a queer variety show, right? So I've always loved variety shows. I've always loved things like, you know, the Carol Burnett Show and Sonny and Cher and those kind of TV variety shows. And so I wanted to produce something that was very much like that, only incredibly queer based. So I created the show called super queer, a lusty, what is it? Super queer, a lusty fun extravaganza. That's what I, because I'm dramatic. And so that was the first one. And since we've had about 3 super queers in Portland. My wife became my co-producer in that, my beautiful wife now. And so it's been an interesting bounce. And I'm just so glad that I ended up here, because I kind of like the Northwest. It's attractive,
That's fantastic.
And I love that, speaking of Hawaii, I love that Kilauea, she erupted on the new year, which was quite that's not a sign that things were shifting. I don't know what is.
Oh, honey, yes, that was definitely an auspicious sign that many people took note of. It's like, okay, finally things are going to change a little bit and move and groove, right?
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah, because Kilauea has been erupting for like 40 years, but this particular eruption, I was like, oh, okay. Maybe things are shifting.
Came up to say, hey, how is it? So speaking of things grooving and moving and changing, you got a quote attributed to you that said, it became apparent that roles tended to be few and far between for big brown butch women. And so between gigs, you started to write roles that were representative of folks like yourself. And out of that came a show that you wrote, None of the Above. But what I want to ask you about is, through None of the Above and AFAB, what does it mean to you to see yourself represented in media?
Oh, absolutely. It's a giant deal. It's a really giant deal, because as I'm sure you have noticed on television, when you see, and there started to be more lesbian representation on television, but I couldn't help but notice that a lot of that, it's still left out, that butch sensibility, and who knows why. I'm not even going to get into that, but that's the piece I've been missing. And that was the piece that I was told was going to be problematic for me as an actor, that there just wouldn't be roles for me. So I was just going to have to change who I was. And I did not go for that. This was not of interest to me, so that I did start writing that. And when I saw this piece, when I started reading the first scripts of AFAB, I was delighted to see this woman who was clear about loving women and clear about who she is, about this butch woman who was happy about that, who was fine with that. It's and it isn't seen a lot. So that struck my interest immediately. And talking with Lyrlyn, we've just been, they've been really enhancing this character and allowing that part of her to get seen more and more, this butchness. And funny enough, this is coming up even more in my work. Like I'm co-artistic director of a Shakespeare company, right? We're called Original Practice Shakespeare Festival. And when I get cast to do various roles in my company, and when I cast other folks, I tell them, I want you to bring who you are to this. I'm not looking for some old idea. I'm looking for what you're bringing. So when I play Othello as a Black lesbian. I play Othello as a Black butch lesbian, and it's when I play other roles too, like Falstaff, that's definitely that's a butch comic role, and I love doing that. That these are, I play in Romeo and Juliet, I've played Mercutio a few times, and I really like playing Mercutio as a butch dyke, who's surrounded by other butch dykes, and Romeo in this particular situation was a dyke as well. And so it's like, hey, this is just a new way of seeing it. And when people come to see our shows, a lot of people come to see a different way of telling this story, telling the story with people they recognize. I mean, the Advocate magazine was talking about how queer we are, and excited about our Shakespeare company being, you know, one of the queerest Shakespeare companies in the country. And we carry that very proudly. About 40% of our company identifies somewhere on the LGBTQI line, and or a continuum, let's call it, you know, and it makes for some really cool storytelling in that company. So coming into AFAB, that's just like, it was, you know, it was a way of finally being part of a web series. It was going to be full of people that I know, full of people who are my friends, you know, people who I recognize, you know, trans men and trans women and NB folk, and, you know, people who are part of my everyday life, you know. That's what grabbed me so much about this show, and it's really fun playing in it, I'll tell you.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Lida, what do you want to do with our timetable, hon?
Great, I've got one last question, and that's Jennifer. You also have an alter ego, a drag king called Bruce TD King. Now, drag kings are, first of all, they make me feel things that make me feel good. And I want to know, I mean, I feel good. And I want to know, does Bruce have any advice or wisdom for drag kings that are coming up?
Oh, absolutely. If I can just sort of drop into Bruce here, you know, Bruce is, I mean, Bruce may not be your most educated guy or something, but Bruce has been around, you know, been around for a long time. And, you know, I know what's what. And all I got to say is to young kings out there, the deal is you got to be proud. You got to be proud of who you are, and you got to be proud of what you have. All right? Because that's how you get an audience to get with you, is when you're happy and proud about carrying who you are into that club, into that theater, you know. And then when someone comes up to you, well, you know, a little interest can happen here and there. You never know what's going to happen then, but you got to carry who you are with your pride, you know, because let's face it, chicks dig it.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Jen. It was such a pleasure to share this moment with you.
It's so delightful. It's so delightful to meet you all. And here, like I said, I love the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I love what you do. I love what you do in the community. I love how hard you work to give and give and give. And, you know, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. I think that y'all embody community in one of the most beautiful and delightful ways that I ever get a chance to see. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Jen. Now, before we let you go, how can people tune in to see your show, AFAB?
Oh my gosh. Well, what you have to do is you need to go over on the YouTube. You've got to look at Another Country Productions. Right, and in that Another Country Productions, you will see Assigned Female at Birth. Look at season 1, which is happening right now. I believe we're up to episode 5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know that 6 has dropped yet, but it's about 6 is about to. And I think April, we're looking at the possibility of April or May being when season 2 starts dropping down. You can catch up on all of season 1 if you take a look at that. Another Country Productions. Definitely see what we've got going on. It is some fun, folks.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And don't forget, folks, tune in. The link is down here at the bottom. We've got a bingo coming up, which is going to help Another Country Productions sign up for, hold on, pause. Is it country or county?
Country.
Country. Okay.
Country. It's okay. You're
unpause. For our bingo, which is going to help fund the season that they're currently in and the next season. Because guess what? Even though we're in a pandemic, shooting and art is still happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Art is being created, friends. So do what you can. We appreciate all of it. Thank you so much, sisters.
Thank you, and have a safe evening. Assigned Female at Birth, a web series about some bodies, is an award-winning, super queer web series about trans, NB, non-binary, LGBTQ, and women of all sizes, ability, ages, and ethnicities. Award-winning queer writer Lanier Kay spent the pandemic interviewing 32 people and then devising a way to tell their stories, which meant remote filming with actors nationwide and then editing together their footage to make it seem like they were in the same location. AFAB has completed 5 of the 6 episodes in season 1, involves 32 interviewees, a cast of 24, a crew of 15, and can be seen on YouTube at Another Country TV. That's www.youtube.com/C/Another Country TV. Check it out.